People to these May Day celebrations, I get judging by the quizzical looks that people give me, they have no idea quite what it is we're celebrating. So I want to just explain what it is we're celebrating here as the May Day, which is basically welcoming to spring and celebration of the flourishing in nature. Before I tell you a little bit more about that, I'm going to tell you what May Day we're not celebrating. There are other May Days too. There's the International Federation of Labor May Day holiday, which is celebrated May 1st in Russia, in Red Square. And then there's the May Day riots in the late 1800s in Chicago, when the workers were striking for the bringing in of an 8-hour day and better labor conditions. And that is now being celebrated as Labor Day in the United States and in Canada. But for most countries, 80 countries actually celebrate that May 1st, which is the original May Day. Anybody here born on Labor Day by any chance? You're all a bunch of liars. Ask your mothers. You're all born on Labor Day. Or the day after. Yeah. So, anyway, so what the annual May Day celebrations goes, it's an ancient festival. It goes way back, 6,000 years ago, to the Sumerian civilization in the Fertile Crescent. They referred to it as the Maya Festival, the M-A-Y-A celebration. So the word May obviously would be a phonetic derivation of the word Maya. So the Romans in pre-Christian Europe celebrated also as the Maya Festival, but they spelled it M-A-I-A, Maya being the goddess of fertility and plant growth. And they also had a festival at that time known as Floralia, and Flora was the goddess of flowers and spring. And they celebrated also as Beltane or Beltane. And anybody here who's read Asterix books would remember the expression by Belennos. Belennos was the archaic Roman sun god who would be ushered in at this time of year. So it's an ancient traditional festival. It's probably the oldest festival that's been celebrated by humankind and has been celebrated for 6,000 years uninterruptedly. So it goes way back. Before I continue, I'd like to say a couple of words about pagan Celtic festivals in general, all of which, and there's 8 of them, 8 main ones. There's the 4 solar festivals, which would be summer solstice, winter solstice, spring equinox or vernal equinox, and the fall equinox. Between them are the 4 fire festivals. There's Beltane, and there's Imbolc, and there's Lunasa, and then there's Samhain, which we now celebrate as Halloween or All Saints' Day on November 1st. But the thing about May Day is it's the only one that remains totally pagan. The other ones have all been incorporated into the Catholic or Christian calendar in one way or another. Even Easter, although Easter, which now replaces the spring equinox, does retain some ancient pagan vestiges, in the sense that it is always celebrated the first Sunday after the full moon, after the vernal equinox. So what I like about these festivals is, without exception, they focus on what is truly relevant, specifically the flourishing of nature, the astronomical cycles, the cycles of the sun, the death of the old, the birth of the new, vegetation growth, the hibernation and migration pattern of animals, and the fertility of plants, animals, people, of course, and the earth. So seasonal festivals in all countries, in all societies, in all corners of the earth focus on these things. So, well, what do we celebrate when we celebrate May Day? Again, so it's a celebration, it's a festival combining welcoming to spring, courtship rites, dancing, games, all kinds of carousing, uninhibited merrymaking, and a little bit of sexuality, fertility, and mating rites. All of the things which were held in very low esteem by the theocracy which engulfed Europe throughout the Dark Ages, and was banned by the Puritans in the United Kingdom in the 1640s by Cromwell and his boys, because the rites dealing with sexuality and fertility and